Hey friends, welcome to the page. I'm Ken Smith, and today we are meeting Kent at the City Garage Car Museum here in Greenville, Tennessee. Now this is a beautiful little museum. We're going to hear a little bit about the history and how Kent got involved with cars at such an early age. So let's check it out. Friends, welcome. I'm here with Kent at
City Garage Car Museum
in Greenville, Tennessee, and we are going to learn a little bit of history behind how Kent got into cars to begin with and how eventually this museum formed. So Kent, give us a little background.
Okay, my dad was a car dealer. He started in 1937 with Packard, then picked up Pontiac the next year, and then Cadillac the next year. So my family has been in the car business since 1937. I grew up as a young kid, probably 2 or 3 years old. I was enamored with the cars in the garage and everything. And so I became a car dealer after I graduated from college. And I was a Chevrolet Oldsmobile Buick dealer. And we ended up with Toyota. We had about every franchise. So the car business is part of the Bewley family.
Sure.
Yes.
Okay. And so, when did you get your first collector car?
I got my first collector car probably in the late 60s, and I still have it.
And what car is that?
It's a 69 Camaro convertible.
Nice.
Yeah.
So we'll have to make sure that we take a peek down at the museum later on and
I
see.
gave that car, I kept it, and I gave it to my daughter, and she drove it to high school, and it's in the museum.
Nice, nice. So, how did you go about acquiring this beautiful place?
Back up just a little bit.
Sure.
My wife and I went to San Diego to the Chevrolet convention and stayed at Torrey Pines. One night they entertained us in the car museum, very similar to this, had a band, fed us and everything, very festive. Coming back on the plane the next day, she said, you've got all these cars in a warehouse. I had 40-some cars, and you've got spider webs, flat tires, dead batteries. Why don't you open a museum? I said, that's a great idea. And ironically, probably 2 to 3 months later, this building became available. And so my wife, Betty, and I worked together, and we did all of the decorative things in here and all of the pictures and things like that, which add a lot to the museum other than cars.
Yeah.
So we work together, and here we are.
Definitely a visual exercise as you walk around here, because there is more than cars here. Obviously.
Oh yeah, a lot of.
So the history behind the building is fascinating too.
Yes, it was originally Casco Feed Store. It was a feed store. John Bernard, who was the mayor of this town, this was back in 1940. And he had a warehouse across the street, but he had a seed business, and it was taking up too much room in the tobacco warehouse, so he built this building in 1940, and it was Casco feed store. And then later became City Dodge Garage. The Bullen family had it. And then from there, we started out, it was a furniture store and it was a gymnastics facility. And then Ron Jones, who was a good friend of mine, was a car collector. He bought it and couldn't get things worked out, so he called me and knew that I was wanting to set up a museum. So he priced it to me and I bought it, and here we are.
Wow, wow. And so how long have you been here?
15 years. We opened in July of '09.
Okay.
And then I've got another building about a half a mile from here, was my dad's Pontiac Cadillac Packard garage. And I'm in the process of restoring it, and we're about 90% complete.
Okay.
I'll have it open by probably first of the summer. It will not be near as nice as this, but it'll be a working museum, and I've already got 25 cars over there.
So when you say working museum, kind of expand on it.
Yeah, we'll rotate tires, polish, exercise them. That's what we call it. Take them out and drive them, and do the necessary things to keep them up. The worst thing about a car museum is the cars are dormant, and you have dead batteries, flat tires, and seals that leak and all that. So we're going to try to exercise these cars.
Well, I've got a Model A, it leaks no matter what.
Yeah, so. Yeah, a lot of the old ones do. Yeah.
So I understand that your wife also collects cars.
She does. She's got a 1972 Rolls Royce Corniche convertible that was in the movie Divine Secrets. I got a sister to it, very famous car, and there's a society of ladies that have this club, the group, and they came in here about 2 years ago and had their picture made around the Rolls Royce. And then she bought the Auburn motel back there, which is, I think, the most beautiful car in here. And then she's got the Nash Metro back there that was in the Kmart commercial. So a lot of our cars have unique history.
Oh, neat. Yeah. Now, how long has she been collecting cars?
Well, we've been married 50 years, so she started probably, really, right, I guess before we opened, probably she's about 20 years.
Okay.
Yeah, and she's got, I'd say she's got about 10 cars.
Nice.
Yeah.
So do either of you or both of you have collector cars that you drive? Do you have some drivers?
We drive, we don't drive all of them, but we drive a lot of, particularly from probably April to September, October, when the weather's a little better and everything. So,
So what's your favorite car to drive?
I've got a Bentley back here. It's my favorite car to drive.
Yeah.
Bentley, coupe.
Yeah.
And very nice, very fast, and just very unique and everything. But my favorite car in here is a De Tomaso Pantera. And I bought it brand new.
Oh, wow.
72 model. Never been titled. It's the only Pantera in existence that's never been titled. I've got a certificate of origin.
Wow.
It's got 4,900 miles. We have a lot of cars in here that have extremely low miles. We've got probably, I would say, probably 10 to 12 that are probably under 20,000 miles. Some, I've got the DeLorean back here, only has 727 miles.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Wow.
Jennifer, who was in the movie Back to the Future, she was here about 2 years ago. And it was Michael Fox's girlfriend, Claudia Wills, and she was Jennifer in the show, and she came by and had her picture made with the DeLorean and everything.
Oh, neat.
So we've had some really interesting people. ZZ Top, Billy Gibbons, the entertainer, he's a big car collector, and he was entertaining over here at the Impact Theater, I guess 2 years ago. He came in, big car collector, spent 2 or 3 hours here. And then Corey Pavin, the professional golfer, he's a car collector, and he's moved here. So, a lot of these celebrities are car collectors.
Sure.
And,
yeah.
They love
Obviously, Jay Leno being one of the biggest.
Leno would like to have that Pantera back there. He's got three red ones. I've got one red one. So, This exhibit, the Texaco service station, we picked up these 2 trucks, the tanker wagon, the mules, and a lot of these gas cans. at a Barrett Jackson auction in West Palm Beach back about 16 years ago, 16, 17 years ago, with the idea that we would have a museum. So this is a very unique and very elaborate Texaco collection. And it came from Texaco. It was in their museum in Texas.
That's fascinating. Yeah. So this isn't barn find stuff. This is the real deal. This is the real deal.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yes.
So I spot something here that obviously isn't Texaco.
Yeah.
Tell me about this one-of-a-kind scooter.
This is up your way. Don Barnett, who in Jonesboro, made this. That's a Volkswagen Fender,
right,
on a little scooter, and it actually runs. We can drive it around the museum. It's the kids that come here, they're just fascinated.
Yeah, I bet they're enamored. Yeah. So all of your collection is obviously authentic Texaco.
Texaco came from Texaco.
Wow. And
even the tanker wagon, which is a Studebaker, believe it or not, but that was pulled by two mules. Those are artificial mules, of course, but back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, they would have to go in the country to farmers and take the oil and the gasoline. And same thing with these trucks.
How did you ever manage to convince Texaco?
Well, we bought it from two guys from Oklahoma that were tied in with Texaco, and they evidently, I think one of them actually worked for Texaco, and so they were able to get them. And I don't know how. I don't know why they turned them loose, but they are authentic. They're the real deal.
So the Model T, the Model A as well, that came from Texaco, as well as the Studebaker in the back.
Yeah.
Wow.
And all the oil cans and gas cans. Yeah. But this is a battery charger from the early 1900s.
Wow.
That's a new one.
That's a new one, obviously.
Yeah.
Slightly different.
Yeah. We have these standards in front of every exhibit, which are very informative, and if people can take their time and look at all of them.
Well, that's some amazing testing equipment there.
That's a mid, I guess, 1930s engine analyzer. This is a kind of a shrine. Wilbur West, who ran the museum for us for 11 years, passed away a couple of years ago, so we dedicated this to him. He was a very special guy, and we have people to this day. Wilbur's been gone over 2 years. We have people that come in and say, "Where's Wilbur?" He actually passed away in this building.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Here's a steering wheel off an old truck. I think it was a Willis truck. Then we have, the kids are fascinated with these older cars, these model cars. So as you can see, there's more to the museum than just cars.
Absolutely.
Here's some hubcaps from a 1950 Packard. And we have a lot of model cars here that like you say, fascinate the young people and the old people too, older people.
I remember as a kid getting these Avon decanters from my grandmother. Kind of dating myself there, I guess.
This is the oldest vehicle. This is a 1901 Oldsmobile. The motor on this thing is like for a lawnmower. It's just, I think it's 1 horsepower. 5 horsepower.
5 horsepower. 4-stroke.
Top speed 20 miles an hour. Fuel capacity 1.5 gallon.
Wow, that's pretty fascinating. At Old Car Festival in Dearborn, you can actually see vehicles like this running.
That's amazing, isn't it?
They'll drive them out on the streets.
Yeah.
So is this your Camaro?
Yeah, this is the Camaro. This is the one. Yeah, that's been in the family since it was new. I drove it, and my daughter drove it. I guess my granddaughter will be driving it.
Sure. And next to it is a pretty rare Z28.
Yeah, 302.
I see over here, I kind of took you out of your element a little bit.
Yeah.
So obviously I see some things right up my alley right there. That looks like...
Yeah, that's a true Model A, and this is a Shea, which is a replica.
Yeah.
Harry Shea built one for every Ford dealer in America in 1982, and we were able to acquire it. It has a... It's driver friendly, where this is driver trouble.
Driver challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This has a Pinto motor and has power steering, power brakes. So that's so true. They do. This is a '57 Chevrolet convertible. I would say this is as nice as any '57 Chevy in existence. It has a Continental kit on the back, but it's just totally original. Been here since day one when we opened. This car was owned by a very high-profile attorney here in Greenville, John Armstrong, and he was very flamboyant. He wore red suits, yellow suits, green suits to court, everything. He was kind of the F. Lee Bailey of Greenville, and that was his car. So it's there's a picture of him. So that again is, you know, every car has a story.
Sure.
This car we picked up from Twin City Buick in Alcoa, and they've had that car for I think 18 years. They sold it brand new, so I saw it in Hemmings, and I'd been wanting one, and so I looked there and it had a 615 phone number. I said, that's got to be Knoxville. So I called and talked to the gentleman that owned the place. He said, we sold the car brand new, trade back for it, had 18 years, and put it up for sale. And I said, I'd like to buy that car and put it in our museum. And he was just enamored by that. He said, great. So we went down and picked it up. And then this convertible, I sold that car brand new. I was an Oldsmobile dealer. So I sold it and then bought it back. I've got another one just like it. I've got a white one. It was my wife's demonstrator when I was a big dealer. So we use it. I drive it in the summer and spring a lot. So. And this is the Bentley I was telling you about.
Right.
This is probably the fastest car in here. Top speed on it's 198. This car in 1981 sold for $40,000. In 1981, you could buy a new Cadillac for less than $10,000. So, and it's on a Corvette chassis. They buy a new Corvette, take the body off, and then put this on. And it's made by Phillips Motor Coach out of West Palm Beach, Florida. And it mimics the 540K Mercedes, which very popular car. As a matter of fact, I think Adolf Hitler had one of these. See, that's a 500K or 540K Mercedes, and it kind of mimics it. Very fun. The thing with this car, I've driven it quite a bit. but you have to be careful, because you can only see to here. See, there's almost 3 feet there. You'll run into something, knowing all the time that you have to stay back a little bit. Just have to be really careful.
This is that Pantera you were.
Oh yeah.
You were talking about.
Bought that car brand new, never titled it, had a bill of origin, and it's got 4,900 miles on it. Jay Leno would. He paid big bucks for that car, but it's not for sale.
You know, anything's for sale if the price is right.
I guarantee you I wouldn't sell it. I would take $1 million for it.
So what do we have over here? This is your wife's Auburn.
Yeah, my wife owns these 3 cars right here. This, I think, is the best looking car in the museum. This is an Auburn boat tail. And if you saw the movie, The Great Gatsby, it was a feature. This wasn't the car that was in The Great Gatsby, but it was one exactly like it. It has a boat tail, which is comes to a point. And then this little car belongs to my wife. And it's a nice Metro. And it was featured in the Kmart commercial. So these 3 cars belong to my wife. Now this car was in the movie Divine Secrets the Yaya Sisterhood, and came from Rolls Royce of Beverly Hills, owned by MGM. We got it through the diverter who bought it from MGM, and we picked it up from him. But there's the lady that, this was the scene where a truck was coming, transfer truck was coming down the road, and she hit this thing sideways. I don't know how she got it out of the way. This is a truck that we've had forever. We used it to haul garbage off and used it on the farm some and everything. But we had it restored and we tied it in with popcorn set.
Yeah.
Now popcorn Sutton, I don't know if you know much about his.
I do.
His wife Nan is a good friend of ours. She's over here all the time, and she brings us all this. So they're making a whiskey now. It's popcorn. So they've come out with it, and I think it's going to be a big hit. So this is the moonshine section. Now, this was my sister's car. I was Subaru. This is a very unique car. Women like this car because it had so much glass. It's got like 360 degrees of glass. But at one time, my sister, this was hers, my daughter had one, and my niece had one. SVX. And I don't know, I don't think they still make them. I'm pretty sure they don't. But this all-wheel drive, very fast, and just a fun car to drive.
Speaking of fun cars, what's this little one?
That is, now listen to this. This is probably the most valuable car in the museum.
Really?
This is the very first Subaru to come to the United States with that car right there.
Wow.
I was in Las Vegas in 1982 at a Subaru convention, and they had this little car on exhibit. So the guy that was a handler of the car, I told him, I said, when Subaru of America decides to sell this car, I want to buy it. So I gave him my name and number, and 18 years later, I get a call and said, "You still want that car?" I said, "Yes, I do." I paid $1,200 for it. And they shipped it to Knoxville, and I had it picked up in Knoxville and transported up here. So
that is way cool.
yeah.
The first Subaru.
That's the very first Subaru to come to the United States of America. It was owned by Subaru of America for, I guess, 20 years. But it's a 2-cycle. You have to make sure. It runs good. The brakes are terrible on it. I got down here, we were riding around, Wilbur, the fellow that passed away. He and I took it for a ride. And the brakes failed. I said, "Stick your foot." He was going very slow. And he stuck his foot out and I stuck mine out to get it stopped.
You know, I once saw that in a cartoon.
Yeah, it actually happened.
Well, we got a little bit of history back here.
Yeah.
Back to the Future.
Yeah. What's interesting is John DeLorean's sister-in-law lives here in Greenville. And she donated all these pictures, those two chairs that were specifically made for DeLorean. He was 6'4", real long-legged, and they're deep. Seats of chairs are deep, which were made specifically for him. And then Claudia Wills, who I was telling about, who was Jennifer, Back to the Future, she was in here 2 years ago, I guess it was, and signed it for me. This is our NASCAR section. We operated in NASCAR for a few years. You know, the old saying, how to make a small fortune in racing. You know, that makes small fortune.
Spend a large fortune.
Start with a large one. But here's our claim today. We ran one Western Cup race in Bristol.
Okay.
See there's that's Bobby Allison's car. That's Bill Elliott's, and that's Richard Petty. So we're right in here with them. We've got two cars that came from Dale Earnhardt Chevrolet in Newport here in Bristol. It's amazing the way we acquire a lot of these vehicles, but people would rather sell to us, particularly a car that they really like, is because they know it'll be taken care of. And you know, you still have bragging rights. Say, I used to own that vehicle. You know?
Yeah, sure. Tell me about the Willies.
That car was purchased new on the interstates, like up here in Greenville, and it was used as a delivery vehicle. It's totally original. And this vehicle is probably one of the more interesting cars in here. It has a great history. Van Blur, Joe and John Van Blur brothers, were commissioned to build a vehicle. They were into boats. They built boats, and particularly boat motors. They were commissioned in the early 1900s. It was built in 1915. It was upgraded. It's got disc brakes, but they were commissioned to build a car. It looked like a boat, and they accomplished their mission. And this is an Excalibur, which is a lot of people think they're kit cars, but they're not. They're production cars. And a lot of Hollywood movie stars and celebrities had these cars. They were very prestigious. And, this was a rally car, which means that it was raced. It was actually run, and not necessarily oval track racing, but circuit racing. We can see 50 people in here. We have a lot of birthday parties, class reunions, wedding rehearsals, club meetings and everything. So it's just we can actually accommodate about 100 people in here, because what happens is you have 50 people in here and then 50 out in the museum. So it works out real well. Very, very good. Just the average person coming in. We have folks that come in, they'll stay 15 or 20 minutes, and we have some that'll stay 2 or 3 hours. And but it lends itself to either, if you want to go through fast or if you want to take your time. So.
Well, Kent, thank you so much for allowing us to come down here and take a little bit out of your day and just check out the museum.
Always glad to do it. I've always had a love affair with these cars, so I'm right at home. I told somebody, I said, I could be having a really bad day, and I just come down here and it just changes your whole attitude. It's just very, very, very pleasing. Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Friends, that's going to wrap things up for today. Hey, remember to give us a like and subscribe. Hope you enjoyed today's video. Most of all, be blessed.